Hello, I'm Kay from the Spectra team, and in this video I will show you how to make your website completely responsive so that it looks good on the desktop, on the tablet, and on the mobile. Now, making your website responsive is essential nowadays because of the importance of smartphones, and this is what we're going to address in this video. Now, that phase of your website project is also beneficial because it will allow you to address mistakes you may have overlooked when building the desktop version and that need correction. Because let's face it, as you will see in this video, it's almost impossible to have everything 100% perfect from your first draft. Now, this video is part of a course organized in a playlist, for which you will find a link in the description below. And if you want to get the most out of it, I strongly encourage you to follow this course in the exact order the videos are organized in the playlist. Now, in order to help you complete this project, you'll find a link in the description of this video where you can download the course files. Now, this course is free, and even if you don't have web hosting, you can either use ZipWP or use a local solution like Local by Flywheel, for example. But if you want to take your website to the next level with awesome features like advanced animations, Instagram integrations, and much more, consider using Spectra Pro, and of course, you'll find a link in the description below. Now, like I mentioned, you can complete the course project with free tools alone, and what we're going to do in this video is no exception. Next, principles of responsive editing. So first, let's define responsive web design or responsive editing. Responsive editing means that you need to modify your website separately for desktop, tablet, and mobile to make it look equally good on all of these screens. Now, the way you're going to implement responsive editing is going to differ based on the project, but we could say there are two main philosophies. The first one is to complete the desktop version first and then make the website responsive for tablet and mobile devices, which is what we're going to do in this video. But we're only using this route for this project because it makes it easier to teach the concepts. But in a real life scenario, more than likely we would be using the second option or second philosophy, which is simply to make your website responsive as you go page by page, and there are many advantages. Just imagine you're working on your homepage and you got all your responsive settings dialed up. Then it's super easy to just copy and paste to the next page as you go. And this is such a time saver over the course of a project. Now, whatever route you choose, there are a few things you should always keep in mind. 1. Don't just create for the device that you prefer. Maybe you prefer viewing websites on your desktop, but maybe 80% of your audience prefers viewing websites on their smartphone or vice versa. Next, don't try to get everything looking exactly the same on all devices because this is virtually impossible. Maybe it was possible in 1999, but today we have so many resolutions and devices that it is virtually impossible. And that brings me to my next point. Focus on the experience. So, because the experience may differ based on whether you are viewing the website on a desktop, a tablet, or a mobile, you may have to change layouts completely just to adapt to that specific device. And bear in mind, people don't really screen a page the same way they do on a desktop versus a mobile, for example. Okay, now that you understand what is responsive web design and responsive editing, let's dive in. So earlier in the course, I briefly showed you the responsive controls, but now let's dig deeper. So if we look in the interface, we have this icon here, and if I click on it, I can go from desktop to tablet and mobile. Now, this is good, but I prefer using the traditional browser because there's a hidden feature not many people know about, and that really helps when it comes to building responsive websites. So for example, here I'm viewing the website in the Brave browser, but you could use Chrome, Firefox, and many other browsers. So I'm just going to right click and click on Inspect. And then right here, I'm going to click on this icon, which symbolizes a desktop and a mobile. So that's our responsive icon. And as you can see, now I have a tablet version. So here I have a drop-down list and I have a lot of different devices. Here I'm on the iPad Air, but let me try the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and here it is. But not only I can choose Samsung, or I can click on Edit and add even more devices. I can also have completely custom resolutions. Now, most of the time, the preview in the WordPress admin is completely fine, but when you really want to fine-tune, I find the browser approach a good complement because you can really choose the type of devices you want to test it on, and it's pretty accurate. Now, there are a couple of concepts I'm quickly going to explain because that's going to help you for the rest of this video. And the first one is that elements can vary depending on the device. So let me show you. Let me go back in desktop mode and I'm going to select this container here, then go to style. And as you can see, I have my image here, right? So now let me go into tablet mode and I'm going to change the image. So click on the plus sign here and let me select this image here. So this is for the tablet. Now let me go back into desktop mode. And as you can see, we still have the previous image just for the desktop. Now let's go back into tablet mode and you're getting the concept now. And as you may imagine, let me go into mobile mode. I can change the image and this time let me pick this image. Click on select. And as you may have guessed it, if I go back to tablet, it's a different image, and desktop, I'm back to the original image. So as you can see, we can easily change the content per device, but it's not just for images. So let me show you. Let me scroll down and let me select my heading here. Next, I'm going to go to style, typography, and as you can see, the desktop size is 40 pixels. Now let me go into tablet mode, and this time let's make it 20 pixels, for example. And then let's go into mobile mode and let's make it super dramatic. Let's make it 12. So now as you can see, if I go to desktop, this is the size we have. Tablet, way smaller, and mobile, super tiny. So by now, I think you get the idea. You can completely change the content based on the device. Now let's talk about another important concept. And that concept is that padding and margin can be managed at various levels. But wait. First of all, what is padding and margins? Let me show you. So let's go back into desktop mode. Let me scroll down. I'm going to select this container here and I'm just going to duplicate it. Now, with the second container selected, I'm just going to change the color so that we can differentiate. And let's just say that the margin is the space between the edge of the container and the outside world, whereas the padding is the space between the edge of the container and the inside world. It's a bit theoretical, but let me show you. So with my container selected, let me go to spacing. And here I'm going to add 100 pixels of top margin. And you can see, as I said, is the space between the edge of the container and the outside world. Now let's do the same thing, but for the padding. So I'm going to change it from 70 to 100. And you can see it's bigger here. If I want to make it more dramatic, let me put 1000 and then, you see what I mean. So let me put it back to 100. And as I said, the padding is the space between the edge of the container and the inside world. But it doesn't stop there because basically padding and margin can be applied to other blocks. So let me select this block here, go to style, and guess what? We have padding and margin. So let me give it 80. And as you can see, now we have 80 pixels all around. But I can take this further and add 80 pixels of margin all around. And it's even more dramatic. So all of this to tell you that all roads lead to Rome, and there are various ways you can play with the margins and the padding at various levels. So it's really up to you to play with the different possibilities and know that there's not just one solution. Sometimes you use the padding inside a container. Sometimes you use a margin outside of a block. It really depends, but you can get exactly the same result by combining these different techniques. It's really a matter of preference. Okay, now that you understand these two concepts, let's start making our website responsive. And let's start with our header and footer. So in WordPress, you want to go to Astra, Customize, and here at the bottom, you see the tablet icon. So click on it. Then let's go to Header Builder. And if you recall, there are two types of headers, the standard header and the transparent header. And here we're using the transparent header. So first of all, I'm going to click on transparent header, and where you see logo width, I'm going to change it from 60 to 120 pixels. Next, let me click on the mobile icon. And this time, let me change the logo width to 100 pixels. All right. Now, don't mind the weird display here because this is precisely what we'll be addressing in the rest of this video. But for now, we want to go back and then click on site title and logo. And now this is the logo for the standard header. That's the header that you're going to see if you go to the blog, for example. So let me show you. Let me go back in desktop mode. Let me go to the blog. So this is using the standard header. So let me click on the tablet icon. And one more time, let's change it from 60 to 120 pixels. And next, let's click on the mobile icon. And let's change it from 50 to 100 pixels. All right, let's go back into desktop mode. Let's go back one step. Now click on the tablet icon, then toggle button. And first of all, we're going to change the toggle icon. Let's select the first one here. My opinion is a bit more stylish, but that's just personal preference. Next, click on the design tab. The icon color should be set to color number 6, and the background color should be set to color number 5. And now if we go into mobile mode, as you can see, it kept the same settings, so we're all good. So let me go back into tablet mode. Let me go back one step, click on transparent header, then click on the design tab and scroll down to where you see toggle color. So the icon color should be set to color number 6 and the background color should be set to color number 5. And if you check, we can see the changes are reflected. And just to make sure, let's click on the mobile device and voila, looking good, at least for the header for the time being. Now let's go back in desktop mode and now let's scroll down and we can see here our footer is looking good. But now let's click on the tablet icon. Let's scroll down, still looking good for our logo. And now let's go into mobile mode. Let's scroll down and here too, our logo is looking good. All right, so let's click on publish to save our work. Next, making the homepage responsive. So I'm going to close this. And next you want to go to pages, all pages. And I'm going to keep this browser tab open and I'm just going to hover over home. And where you see edit, I'm going to right click and open link in a new tab. That's going to make it way easier down the line to have all the tabs open because we're going to copy and paste elements from various pages as we go along. So let me navigate to the home page in edit mode. And first, let me click on the document overview icon. And with my hero container selected, I'm going to go to the style tab, scroll down, open the spacing subtab. And where you see padding, I'm going to click on the responsive icon, click on tablet mode, and I'm going to give it 70, then 40 pixels on the right, 10 at the bottom, and 40 on the left. Now one more time, let me click on the responsive icon and go into mobile mode. And this time, let me give it 10, 20, 50, and 20 pixels. All right, let me go back in desktop mode. And now let me select my info box here. So you can see it here in the document overview. Next, let me click on the style tab, click on the prefix subtab, click on the typography icon. And as you can see for the desktop, the font size is set to 50. Now let me go into tablet mode. And by default, it takes the value from the device above, so 50. But if you want to be sure, you can set it here, 50. Now let's go into mobile mode and let's set the font size to 44 pixels. Now let me close this. Let's close this subtab and let's open the title subtab. Now click on the typography icon. And for this one, we only want to change the mobile size and we are in mobile mode, so it's perfect. Now actually the font size is correct, 72, but where you see line height, we want to change it to 60 pixels. Now make sure you select pixels because if you just type 60, this is going to happen. So make sure you click on pixels and now you have 60 pixels. All right, let's close this. Now let's go back into desktop mode and let's open the description subtab. Next, click on the typography icon. And for the desktop, we want to give it 16 pixels. Now let's go in tablet mode. And this time, let's give it 18 pixels. And next, let's go into mobile mode. And this time, let's give it 14 pixels. All right, let's close this. Next, let's click on call to action. Then click on the typography icon. And right now we are in mobile mode, but don't forget what I told you earlier. For example, the mobile would take the setting from the device above. So it would be the tablet. And the same for the tablet, it would take it from the desktop. Here we want the same value all across the board. So we're going to go back in desktop mode. and just give it a value of 13. It's already 13, but make sure it's set to 13 pixels. And if you do, this is the value that's going to be applied to the tablet and the mobile. Now, still in the typography box, let's scroll down, and where you see letter spacing, you want to give it a value of 1 pixel. Awesome. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there is still something we need to change here. So here we are in desktop mode, and let me close this so we have a more accurate representation. And here it looks good. But let me go in tablet mode. And as you can see, there's a lot of space here, and the same goes for the mobile version. So let me close the call to action subtab, and let's open the description subtab. And here we have values. These values are in percentage, not in pixels. So we're going to give it 0, 0, 3, and 0. And that's much better. Now let's go into mobile mode. And this time the values are in pixels, because yes, that can happen. You can mix and match values. It really depends on the use case. But once again, all roads lead to Rome, so you can achieve the same results. It's more a matter of preference and also good habits. All right, so we're going to give it 0, 0, 20, and 0. Actually, it's a bit close compared to the text right above, so let's give it a top margin of 10 pixels. All right, that's better. And next, let's click on Save to save our work. All right, let's go back in desktop mode. And now let's open our service container. I'm just going to collapse the hero container and select our services container. Now let me scroll down. So this is our services container. So let me select my heading here, then go to style, typography, and the font size is 40 pixels. Now let's go into tablet mode and let's give it a value of 38. And next, let's go into mobile mode and let's give it a value of 34 pixels. All right, let's close this. Let's close the heading subtab and let's open the spacing subtab. And a good habit every time you deal with a new setting is to go back to the desktop mode. So let me go back in desktop mode. And we can see here for the desktop mode, there are no specific margin settings, just using the default. So now let's go into tablet mode. And here we want a bit more space. So we're going to give it 0, 0, 30, 0. And the same for the mobile mode. 0, 0, 30, and 0. And that's in pixels. Okay, let's go back in desktop mode. Next, let's select our first subcontainer. And if we expand it, we can see we have 3 subcontainers. So let's go in tablet mode. And we can see here it's fine. Now let's go into mobile mode. And we can see the gap is a bit big. So let's reduce this from 70 to 50. All right. Next, let's go back in desktop mode. Now let me collapse my first subcontainer and let's expand the second subcontainer. Now let me select this buttons container, then go to style, spacing, and where you see margin, I'm going to unlink the values. And for the desktop, I'm going to give it a top margin of 30, 0, 0, 0. Now let me go in tablet mode. Then once again, unlink the values and let's give it the same values, 30, 0, 0, 0. Next, let's go into mobile mode, unlink the values, and this time let's give it a top margin of 60 pixels and the rest 0, 0, 0. And let me scroll down. So this is the margin we have here above the button. Next, I'm going to expand the buttons container and we can see we have an individual button block. So I'm going to select it, then go to style, typography. Now let's make sure we are in desktop mode. Size should be 13 pixels and the letter spacing should be set to 1 pixel. All right. So let's save our work and let's collapse our services container. Now let's scroll down. This is our testimonials container. Let's do a visual check. If we go in tablet mode, it's looking fine, even though we could have a bit more padding. So let me click on the testimonials container, go to style, padding, and let's give it a right padding of 40 pixels and a left padding of 40 pixels. Now let's go in mobile mode. Let's scroll down and here it's looking good. Awesome. Now let's scroll down to the about container. Let's go back in desktop mode Then go to Style, Spacing, and here you see the padding values for the desktop. We're not going to change that. And next, let's go in tablet mode, and let's change it to 70, 40, 70, and 40 pixels. Now let's go into mobile mode. Let's scroll down, and mobile mode is looking good. All right, let's go back in desktop mode. Let's select our info box, then go to Style, Call to Action, then click on the typography icon. Size should be set to 13 pixels, and you know the drill now. Letter spacing should be set to 1 pixel. Now, if you hadn't forgotten that setting for the letter spacing while we were building the desktop version, we wouldn't have to do this for every single button or call to action. But hey, that's how life goes. And as I said in the intro, it's almost impossible to get everything 100% perfect from the first draft. So this is something you have to learn when you build a website. Just enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. And next time, who knows, you won't forget that setting, but you may well forget another one. So just be at ease with it. Know that it's really part of the process. All right, next, let's select our image here. And we want to go to the Style tab. And then where you see radius, we want to give it a radius of 5 pixels all around, in order to maintain that consistency that we had with the rest of the images on the website. I'm not talking about the background images, but the image blocks that we've been using. All right, let's save our work. And finally, for this page, let's select our call to action banner container. And first of all, with the container selected, you want to go to General, then Container Type. And where you see minimum height, you want to go in tablet mode, click on the VH unit and give it a value of 45 VH. Next, click on the mobile icon and make sure the value is set to 394 pixels. And let me scroll down, and that's how it looks. Next, let's go back in desktop mode. Then let's go to Style. Let's scroll down, open the spacing subtab. And for the padding, let's give it a value of 60 pixels all around. So I'm just going to click to link the values, and now we got 60 pixels all around. Next, let's go in tablet mode. Values are already set. Just double check is 50, 20, 50, 20. And the same for the mobile. All right, let's go back in desktop mode. And next, let's select our info box block. And first of all, you want to go to General, Call to Action, scroll down, click on the button icon, and we're looking for chevron right. So click on it and click on Insert Icon. Next, you want to click on the Style tab. Now let's scroll back up, and where you see Call to Action, you want to click on the typography icon, give it a value of 13 pixels. Then where you see Transform, click on the drop down and select uppercase. Next, let's scroll down, and where you see letter spacing, select the pixel value and type 1. Great. Let's save. And now let's take a look at what we built. So for reference, this is our homepage. So as you can see, it's looking great. Now let's take a look at the tablet version. And with all the work we did, it's now looking great here on the tablet. If you have a physical tablet, you can always test. It's even better, but this is pretty accurate. Now let's take a look at the mobile version. So this is our hero. Then we have our services with our animation, our image, banner, and footer. All looking good. All right, next, let's make our About page responsive. Okay, back in the WordPress admin, I'm going to leave this browser tab open with the homepage in edit mode. And I'm going to go back to our previous browser tab. If you recall, I told you to leave it open, but if you close it, no panic, just go back to Pages, All Pages. And I'm going to open the About page, but with the same technique. I'm going to hover over it, and where you see Edit, right click, Open in a new tab. Now let's navigate to this browser tab. And first of all, let's click on the Document Overview icon. Let's select our page header container, then go to Style. And here you see the image. Let's scroll down. And here, let's click in the middle of the image. So as you can see, with the dot, we can select the position of the image, and we want to put it in the middle. All right, now let's scroll down and let's select this text here. Now for this website, we don't want to use this font. So let's go to Style. If you click on Typography, you can see that the font was selected here in the drop-down. Now, if you want to revert, we could set Default, and it would revert back to Poppins because this is what we set in the Astra customizer. Or we could also manually select Poppins here in the list. But then if someday, let's say we want to change the font across all the website, we would need to come back to this spot and change it one more time. So it's way better to just select default. So let's close this and let's open the spacing subtab. Now let's click on the responsive icon, go in tablet mode, and we want to give it 0 all across the board. And the same for the mobile mode. 0, 0, 0, and 0 for the padding. All right, let's go back in desktop mode. Now let's scroll down, it's all looking good. And if you want to be sure, let's go in tablet mode. So as you can see, it's looking good. And let's go in mobile mode and all is looking good. Now, let me go back in desktop mode. And as you can see here, we have the same exact banner we have on the home page. And if you recall, on the home page, we already made some responsive changes. So instead of doing it again, a better alternative is just to go back to the home page, copy that block and paste it here, which is exactly what we're going to do. So let's navigate back to our home page in edit mode. If you recall, I told you not to close this browser tab. If you did, no panic, just go back to Pages, All Pages, and reopen the home page in edit mode. So we're going to scroll down and there it is. So I'm going to select the container here. And if you want to be sure, open the document overview. You see our call to action banner container here. Click on the 3 dots and hit copy. And now let's go back to the about page in edit mode. I'm just going to collapse everything. I'm going to select the call to action banner, click on the 3 dots, and then I'm going to select add before. And then where you see type, I'm just going to right click and hit paste. All right, so that's the good version. And this one at the bottom, I'm just going to select it, click on the 3 dots and hit delete. All right, so let's save our work. And now let's check what we built. So this is the desktop version. As you can see, it's all looking good, but it was already the case before this video. Just double checking here. Now let's move on to the tablet version. So this is our hero section. And as we scroll down, as you can see, everything is looking great for the tablet. And now let's take a look at the mobile version, looking good. Let's scroll down. And as you can see, everything is looking neat. Awesome. And next, let's make our services page responsive. So back in WordPress admin in pages, all pages, I'm gonna hover over services, edit, right click and open link in a new tab. Now let me navigate to this tab and the first thing we see is our hero container. So let me open the document overview. So that's our page header container. Now, once again, we already did all the work in the about page for the same container. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to navigate back to the about page. So this is the about page in edit mode that I left open in a browser tab. I'm going to select the page header container, click on the 3 dots and hit copy. All right. Now let me navigate back to the services page, select the page header container, click on the 3 dots, click add before. And here where it says type, I'm going to right click and hit paste. Next, I'm going to select the previous one right below, click on the 3 dots and hit delete. So all I need to do now is change the content. So first I'm going to change the text to services. And then I'm going to select the page header container, go to style, and I'm going to change the image back to the image we had for the services. So I'm going to select this image, then click on select. All right, so let's scroll down. And next, I'm going to select this info box here. Now it looks like a button. It is a button, but within an info box. The only difference is that the title and description have been removed. Now, how do I know that? Well, if you've been following the course, you know that all you need to do is select a block and then look here in the top right corner, you see the name of the block. So with our info box selected, you want to go to Style, Call to Action, then click on the typography icon. Make sure the font size is set to pixels and the value should be set to 13 pixels. Next, where you see transform, click on the drop down and select uppercase. Next, scroll down, and where you see letter spacing, you want to select pixels and give it a value of 1 pixel. All right, let's close this. And now, still with our info box selected, you want to click here on the Spectra copy paste icon, hit copy style, and now let's scroll down to the second info box. Let's select it. This time, let's paste style, and let's repeat the operation. Select the info box, Spectra copy paste icon, and paste style. All right, so let me collapse our page header container as well as the other containers here. And next, let's select our credibility container. Then go to the style tab, spacing, and where you see padding for the desktop, these are the values. It should already be set like that. Next, click on the tablet icon, and this time you want to give it 80, 40, 40, and 40. All right, now let's go in mobile mode, and actually let's scroll down. And this time you want to give it 50, 20, 50, and 20. Next, let's go back in desktop mode, and let's select our info box here. Next, you want to go to style, and for the icon background color, in a previous video, we set it to this color, but actually it's better if we select the same color as the background. And that's why I said at the beginning of this video that making your website responsive is also an opportunity to address mistakes or maybe things you've forgotten to do. So we're going to change the icon background color to color number 4. All right. So now I'm going to click here on the Spectra copy paste icon, copy style, and you probably know what I'm going to do. Select the next one, and this time I'm going to paste style, and let's repeat the operation for the third one. And you may have guessed it, let's do the same for the last one. All right, let's save our work. Now, as usual, let's take a tour in the front end. So this is the desktop version, and as you can see, it's looking beautiful. Now let's move on to the tablet version, and here from the get-go, I'm having second thoughts. I'm thinking the page header should be taller. So we're going to address that here and also in the About page because we have the same header in the About page, but that's super easy to do. Now for the rest, let's scroll down. It's looking good. But here you can see we're missing the icons. They're gone. We'll fix that in a moment. So now let's take a look at the mobile version. So once again, I want the page header to be a bit taller here. And for the rest, looking good. But if we scroll down to the bottom, you'll see we have the same issue. Super easy to fix. So back in edit mode, let me select my page header container here in the document overview. Then go to general, container type, and where you see minimum height, the value, the unit is set to VH, and the value is 85 for the desktop. Now let's move on to the tablet, and here it's set to pixels. So let's move it to VH, and let's give it a value of 65. Next, let's select mobile. And once again, let's change the unit to VH. And this time, let's give it a value of 55. So let me save our work. But if you recall, we need to do the same thing for the About page. Hence why I said it's better to leave all these browser tabs open. So let me navigate back to the About page, and let's do the same thing with our page header container selected. Minimum height. Let's move on to tablet, VH, 65. And let's go into mobile mode, VH, and 55. And let's save. So that's all we have to do for the About page. So let's come back to our services page, and let's go into desktop mode. Now let me scroll down, and I'm going to select one info box here. And here in the document overview, you can see that they are within a container. All the info boxes are within this container here. So let me select this container, then go to Advanced, Responsive Conditions. And as you can see, here it's hidden on the tablet and on the mobile. And that's the reason why we could not see it in the front end. So let me toggle this off, and the same for the mobile. Now let's hit save. And now if we go back to the front end and refresh, as you can see, our icons are back. Now let's do the same thing for the mobile. Let me refresh. And there you go. Next, let's make our testimonials page responsive. So back in the WordPress admin in Pages, All Pages, You want to hover over testimonials, edit, right click, and open in a new tab. Now let's navigate to this browser tab, open the document overview, and let's select our testimonials container. Next, you want to collapse the container type subtab and open the layout subtab. So here in desktop mode, you can see the direction is set to row if you hover over it. Now let's go to the tablet mode and let's change it to column. All right. So let's go back in desktop mode, then go to style, spacing, and where you see padding, these values should already be set for the desktop. Now let's go to the tablet mode, and for the padding, let's give it 40 pixels all around. So I'm just going to click on the link values icon and I'm going to type 40. And now we have 40 pixels all around. Now let's go in mobile mode. Let's unlink the values and let's give it 30, 10, 20, and 10. And that's in pixels. Now let's go back in desktop mode. Let's expand our testimonials container and let's select the testimonials left subcontainer. Next, go to general. And now let's go into tablet mode. And where you see custom width, you want to select percentage and give it 100%. And where you see minimum height, you want to give a value of 0. Next, go to style, spacing, and still in tablet mode for the padding values, you want to unlink the values and give it 80, 40, 80, and 40. Next, go in mobile mode and this time give it 80, 20, 80, and 20 pixels. Next, go back to tablet mode and in the document overview, you want to select the testimonials right subcontainer. Then go to general and where you see custom width, just like before, select percentage and make it 100%. Next, where you see minimum height, give it a value of 0. And next, click on save. Now let's go to the front end and this is our testimonials page on the desktop. Let's move on to the tablet version. As you can see, it's looking good. And finally, let's move on to the mobile version. And as you can see, it's looking equally good. Next, let's make our blog responsive. So if you recall in the previous video, we created a blog and I showed you how to do it 3 different ways. With the free version of Astra, with the free version of Spectra, and finally a combo of both Astra Pro and Spectra Pro. So let's start with the blog made with the free version of Astra. So this is what it currently looks like on the desktop. This is our tablet version and this is our mobile version. So it's just a few minor tweaks we want to do. And since version number 1 of our blog is based on Astra, well, everything happens in the Astra customizer. But first of all, let's go to settings, reading, and where you see post page, let's select the blog page. Then click on save changes. So if you don't remember, by doing this, basically we are telling WordPress that anything that's currently on the blog page is overridden by the Astra customizer settings and the Astra blog. So this is what we had before. This is the Spectra version, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But with the action we just did, now if I refresh the page, as you can see, this is the blog from the Astra customizer. So back in WordPress, you want to go to Astra, customize, then go to blog, blog archive, and where you see blog title area, you want to click here on the arrow, then click on the design tab and let's scroll down to where you see margin. Now let's go to our blog page and this is our blog page. So where you see margin in the desktop mode is going to be 0, 0, 20, and 0. Now let's move to tablet mode. And now it's going to be 0, 0, 30, 0. And finally, for the mobile mode, 0, 0, 20, and 0. Now let's go back in desktop mode. Let's scroll back up. Let's go back one step, one more, and let's go to single post. And actually, I can open a single post here. Next, still in single post, click on design. And where you see inside, you want to click on the icon twice to go in mobile mode. Now let me unlink the values by clicking on this icon. And for the values is going to be 0, 20, 20, and 20. Now let me go back in desktop mode. Let me scroll down. And as you can see here, we see the button doesn't quite look like what we want. Now within Spectra, we change the buttons the way we want, but some blocks just take the settings from the Astra customizer. So let's fix that now. So let's go back. Let's go back again. Next, go to Global, Buttons. And for the text color, select color number 6. The text hover color should be set to color number 9. Background color should be set to color number 5. And background color should be set to color number 4. And next, where you see border radius, you want to give it a value of 30 pixels all around. So let me select here the link value icon, and I'm just going to type 30. And now it's 30 pixels all across the board. So let's click on Publish to save our work. So this is what we now have in the front end. This is our desktop version. Now here is our tablet version and our mobile version. All right, now let's take care of the Spectra version of our blog. So back in WordPress admin, in settings, reading, let's revert back. So here, let's click on select and hit save changes. And now right away, if we go back to the front end and refresh, we reverted back to what we created in a previous video. So this is the Spectra free version. And here is the tablet version and the mobile version. And honestly, there's almost nothing to change, just a minor thing. So back in WordPress admin, you want to go to Pages, All Pages, and where you see blog, you want to hover over it, right click on Edit and open link in a new tab. Now let's navigate to this browser tab, open the document overview, and let's select our blog archive container. Then let's go into mobile mode and go to Style, Spacing, and where you see padding, you want to click on the link values icon. Then you want to type 10 for 10 pixels, and now we have 10 pixels all around. And as you can see, now it's breathing here around the edges. Next, click on Save, and that's it. And if we go back to the front end, this is the previous state before the changes we just made. And now let me refresh and look at the edges, and there you go. Now it's breathing. Next, let's take care of the Pro version of our blog with the combo of Astra Pro and Spectra Pro. So in case you forgot, this is the desktop version of our Pro combo made with the site builder from Astra Pro as well as Spectra Pro to make it look gorgeous. And when we click on the posts, we also changed this single post template and we get this. So let's start with the post archive. So in WP admin, you want to hover over Astra site builder, but don't click on it. I'm just going to right click and open in a new tab. Next, navigate to this tab and click on Archive, then hover over the image and click on Edit. Click on the document overview icon, expand the blog archive container, then expand the loop builder, the wrapper, and select this container here. Next, where you see minimum height, you want to go in tablet mode, select pixels as a unit, and give it a value of 300 pixels. Next, go in mobile mode and repeat the operation, but this time give it a value of 200 pixels. All right, let's collab this subtab and let's open the layout subtab. And here you want to make sure justify content is set to flex end. And now let's repeat the operation for the tablet. Justify content, flex end. Great. Now, click on the Style tab and scroll down to where you see spacing. And for the padding, remember we are in tablet mode. Padding should be set to 20 pixels all around. And now let's move on to the mobile. And once again, 20 pixels all around. Now, if you notice, if you go back to tablet mode, the button read more is fine. But if you go back to mobile mode, you see it's aligned on the left. So let's select our button. And actually here in the document overview, you can see the button is selected, but what we really want to select is the buttons group here, the buttons container. And here in general, where you see overall alignment, select center. Great. Now let's save. And now let's take care of our single blog post. So for that, click on the icon here in the top left corner, then click on single, hover over the image and click on edit. Next, click on the document overview icon and let's select our hero header container. Next, go to General, and where you see minimum height on the desktop, it's 65 VH. Now let's go in tablet mode. Make sure VH is selected as a unit and give it a value of 45 VH. Now let's repeat the operation for mobile and let's give it once again 45 VH. Now while we're in mobile mode, let's select our heading here, then go to Style, Typography, and let's give it a size of 28 pixels. All right, so let's close this and this. Next, let's collapse our hero header and let's expand our content header. Then let's expand the loop builder. And finally, let's select our wrapper here. Let's go in tablet mode. And for the tablet, we want to change the number of columns to 1. And the same for the mobile, but by default, it's already set to 1. Next, let's go back in tablet mode. Let's expand our wrapper and let's select the container within. Then go to General, Minimum Height, select Pixels and give it a value of 200 pixels. And next, go in mobile mode. Let me scroll down. Once again, select Pixels and this time give it a value of 150 pixels. Next, collapse the Container tab subtab and open the Layout subtab. And where you see Justify Content, you want to select Flex End. And let's repeat the operation for the tablet. Justify Content, Flex End. Next, go to Style. And let's scroll down to where it says Spacing. Let's check the desktop version. And as you can see for the desktop version, we have 20 pixels all around. Now let's go in tablet mode and let's set it also to 20 pixels all around. And let's repeat the operation for the mobile. Let me scroll down and one more time, 20 pixels all around. And next, click on Save. Okay, so let's take a look in the front end, and for reference, this is the desktop version. So if we click on any blog post, we get access to the single blog post template that we created from scratch. We got this image here, and then we got the text content, and we got the more posts, and then you can leave a comment. And now this is the responsive tablet version. As you can see, we can go to the next page if we want, then click on the blog post, and there you go. Once again, we got our image, our text, and we got the more posts. And last but not least, this is the mobile version. Let's open this blog post. Once again, we got our image, our content, and we got our more posts section. Awesome. Now let's make our contact page responsive. So back in WP Admin, go to Pages, All Pages, and this is the last page we're going to edit to make it responsive. So you can hover over Contact and click on Edit. Now, if you recall, you already did the work for this page header, so we're just going to copy it from the Services page. So just navigate to the Services page, which should still be open. Then select the page header container, click on the three dots and hit Copy. And now navigate back to the Contact page. Click on the document overview icon, and where you see page header container, click on the three dots, hit add before, and then where you see type, right click and paste. Now we're going to remove this one. So I'm just going to select it here, select the three dots, hit delete. And now let me scroll back up. First of all, let me change the text to contact. Then let me select the page header container, go to style, change image, and let me select the appropriate image. All right, now let me scroll down. Looking good here, but let's go in tablet mode. Looking fine. And now let's go in mobile mode. And here, for example, I can do something with this button. So let me select the form here. And actually, I'm going to select the form block. So this one here. Then you want to go to General. Then navigate to the Submit Button subtab. And where you see button alignment, you can either choose center or full width. And I'm going to choose full width. Now let me go back in desktop mode. Let me scroll down and let me select the Who We Are container here. Actually, there's a paragraph just below. Let me select it and delete that. And now with my Who We Are container selected, I'm going to go to Style, Spacing, then go into Mobile Mode, and I'm slightly going to change it. So it's going to be 50, 20, 0, and 20. And let's hit Save. So as usual, let's go to the front end, and for reference, this is the desktop version looking beautiful. Now let's move on to the tablet version, and right from the get-go, we can see that the padding is not exactly what it should be. The content is really too close to the edges, but we're going to fix that. And for the rest, it's looking good. Now let's move on to the mobile version. And if we scroll down, we can see it's looking good also. All right, let me scroll back up and let's address this issue here with the padding. So back in WordPress, let me go into tablet mode. Now let's select the form container. So I'm just going to collapse everything. So let's select the form container here, not to be confused with the form block, which we changed earlier. So select the form container. Then you want to go to Style, Spacing, and where you see padding, we're going to change the values. So I'm just going to click on the link icon values, and as you can see, now it's 50 pixels all around. All right, now let's move on to mobile. And here I'm going to unlink the values and just change the top value to 40. So it's 40, 20, 70, 20. Now let's hit save. And now if I go back to the front end in tablet mode, let me refresh. And as you can see, it's looking way better. Congratulations! You are now equipped with the knowledge to create a fully responsive, modern-looking website. And in the next video, we will go through a checklist you should absolutely go through if you want your website launch to be a success.